So by the title of this video, you already know, yes, I bought a house at 23. And before you start making judgments, just know that was not my intention. When I graduated college, when I moved to Jacksonville, I had no intention of buying a house like anytime soon. So I graduated in May of 2017. I moved to Jacksonville in July of 2017, early July. I found a roommate on Craigslist. That was fine. I just thought that rent was a little higher than what I wanted to pay. Like I wanted to live close to work, and one bedrooms were around $1,100 at that time per month. And just based on my salary, I started out at $38,000. You know, it is what it is. So I didn't really want to spend that much on my own. And 2 bedrooms were between like $1,200 and $1,400 a month, around where I was looking. And so I was like, okay, like with a roommate, like that's pretty fair. So I ended up finding a place literally right down the road from work. It was perfect. I don't know if I said, I found my roommate on Craigslist, and this apartment was in like a pretty, like, it looked like a nice area. It was not super loud and noisy. And the apartment was $1,330 a month. It was 2 bedroom, 2 bath. I was fortunate enough to get the master bedroom, although I did pay more for it. It had a massive walk-in closet. Like the closet, I could probably assemble a queen size bed in there and it would fit just fine. And then the bathroom had like double sinks and a garden tub. It wasn't like brand new, it wasn't luxury, but I was just fine with it. It was pretty nice for me. Honestly, if they hadn't decided to raise the rent, I probably would have just stayed there and found a new roommate. My roommate actually told me a few months before our lease was up that she was not staying in Jacksonville, so she wasn't gonna be there anymore, whatever. You know, we weren't like good friends, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, so I guess that was kind of the catalyst that my rent was going up. It didn't seem like it was worth the increase, and so I just started looking for new apartments, you know, whatever. And the more I looked, the more I was like, okay, well, 1 bedrooms are now starting at $1,200 a month, and you know, I did get a 2% raise, like, ooh, it was like $39,000 something. You know, still wasn't willing to pay $1,200. I have colleagues that, you know, are making that amount and they're living on their own and they say they're doing fine, whatever, that's good for them. That's just not the situation I wanted to put myself in. I felt like that was too much money for what I was making. So, you know, the more I looked into it, I was like, I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to find a roommate in time. So, you know, prices had just gone up and it just didn't seem worth it to me. And you know, I had unintentionally like saved money just because I wasn't like, I knew I didn't want to be a shopaholic and just waste all my money on clothes and makeup and whatever. So I had saved up like a decent chunk of money. I think I had about $12,000 saved. Around this time I started looking for houses. It was probably April 2017, so my lease was up in early July. It was April. Started looking for houses, and you know, I just kind of did this just for fun at first. Like I wasn't, if worse come to worse, like I would have just gotten a new apartment and, you know, paid whatever for a 1 bedroom. But I was looking at houses and I was like, you know, like these aren't that bad. They're not that expensive. I was looking around the like $100,000 to $150,000 range. And I was calculating like the mortgage. Like I knew I wasn't able to put down a full 20% on that. So I knew I would have to like pay extra because of that. But I was like, you know what, whatever. Because even with that and the rates at the time, it was still less than it would be to get an apartment. Like, I mean, the house I'm in now, it's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. And my mortgage is $967 per month. And I was paying $1,330 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Like, it's not in a terrible area. Granted, the apartment I was in was like near a bunch of shops and all that kind of stuff, so I'm sure that had a factor in the price, but that price was like pretty typical for everything I was seeing around Jacksonville. So I was like, well, why don't I just save money? I can afford to live on my own. I can have a roommate if I need to, and it's way less than what I'm paying. I mean, I was splitting the rent, so I wasn't paying the full $1,330 myself, but still, like $967 for 3 bedrooms versus $1,330 for 2, like, and the price was going up to like $1,420 or something. So that just like, it just kind of sealed the deal for me, and I just kept looking and looking and looking, and now I'm here and I have a house, and that was totally not in the cards for me. I wasn't planning that. I mean, sometimes I still just blows my mind the fact that I even did that. But I think it was kind of the right move for me. You know, I definitely will probably make a video in the future about, you know, why I'm glad I bought it, why I maybe regret it. But I think I've made my home, you know, what it is, and I'm glad that I have it. And it's so nice to be able to call that my own. And I mean, when people hear that I was 23 and had a house, they were like, whoa, damn, like, you have it all figured out. So that kind of feels good. But, you know, I definitely rushed into it, and I probably could have gotten a better house had I waited, had I done more research. But it is what it is. And honestly, I'm happy where I am, and I wouldn't change it. I'm close enough to work. I have a 15-minute commute, and overall, I'm just happy. So that is the story of how I bought a house at 23. If you have any questions for me about it, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's pretty much it.